Hey everyone, welcome to the Truck Parking Club podcast. I'm joined here with Travis Overhue. He owns both affordable family storage and storage materials. Before we get into that, for those of you that don't know, Truck Parking Club is the largest network of reservable truck parking in the country. 4,300 locations, tens of thousands of truck drivers, and the platform is really built to make the truck parking business as easy as possible and as hands-off as possible. We handle the marketing. Your property shows up on our app, Google, Trimble. We handle the payments, billings, disputes, and myself being a property owner, I use this every single day myself. We put up the signage. We manage access controls. We even cover up to $25K in property damages on any book stay. Basically, we run the business. Travis, you are one of the most interesting people that I've ever met in storage. And I shouldn't say just storage, but just in general. You're out in Omaha, Nebraska. You own two different companies. Feel free to introduce yourself, and we'll just start from there.
Yeah, my name's Travis Overhue. I live just right outside of Omaha, Nebraska. I do a lot of self-storage facilities, and then started another business called Storage Materials and building storage facilities for other people. So pretty much just mainly everything in self-storage. So from site work to designing to layouts to building, then to operating and everything in between. So,
And for our audience here, how many self-storage facilities do you currently own and operate today?
so we have right around 20 locations. I've built probably 35 to 40 locations, and then sold some, kept some, and then right now we stay right around from the high teens to low 20s.
Oh, wow. Okay, so walk me through development. And when I say development, not just with storage materials, but just like, how did you decide to get into both businesses? Why did you decide to start a self-storage company and obviously a self-storage and really just building a storage building company as well?
So I like the development process and going through and seeing stuff come to fruition from basically ground zero and finding a piece of ground and dealing with our lovely city officials to get everything passed.
Yeah.
So, but I enjoy going through that process. The only downside is on storage, you don't open up and fill up overnight. It takes time. And so by doing that, we've gotten pretty proficient on getting projects done that storage materials allows me to work with other people and get stuff, see their projects come to fruition so we can kind of live up to our bandwidth, if that makes sense. So we've gotten really efficient over the years on building them. And so it's easier for us just to keep going with that and what we can do and stay focused on it. So it was kind of just an evolution of it is more you can only develop so much without raising a lot of outside capital. And we've never done that yet. So
Wow.
you kind of run out of bandwidth every now and then on how many projects you can do, but you have more internal bandwidth to complete more projects. So then I started Storage Materials to go ahead and just kind of work with other people. So, storage industries kind of close, like it's a very close industry that you get to work with a lot of cool people and everybody's open and, I have this project going, that project going. And so you hear of a lot of different things in a lot of different scenarios. So it's been a great fit. And so we've been about 18 months to 20 months on the storage material side. And then the affordable family storage has been 2014.
Yeah, and so tell me about the early days, like your first couple properties, right? So what was that like? What were kind of what were the hurdles during that time? And what did you learn that really kind of set you on the path of, helping other people build their own facilities and really help them, operate other facilities even?
So I feel like there's too many people that I feel like make mistakes that I call them, they underwrite and they do everything based on a spreadsheet versus like practicality. So like if you take 100,000 square foot facility, it's like, well, 10 by 10s or 5 by 10s will generate the most, but you don't need 1,000 units there. And so when I first started, I worked at the front desk of our locations until you get to learn the business. And then we did a lot of conversions in the early days of development. And so then every time I would do a conversion, we get more and more efficient at it. There's different ways to cut costs down. There's a lot of different ways with basically on the construction side with all the HVAC and different things with mechanical you can do in these buildings. And then so we'd learn, but then as I would develop, there's a lot of mistakes that I have made. And I see people every day that sometimes go down that path. And the one thing that, I feel like some people understand and some don't is your facility is only worth whatever it makes. Mm-hmm. So, if you can't generate, it could be worth 10 million, it could be worth 5. And it's immaterial what you paid and what you built it for. Even if you got a good deal, it's all comes down to the operation. So in the early days to learn, I was doing 3 to 4 projects a year, and I didn't have a lot of help at the time and didn't have like the staff I have around me now. And you're buying stuff, you're hiring people, you're developing, you're working on them. You're learning everything all the way through, from ground level all the way through operating. But honestly, one of the best things I did is just I'd rent units from all of my competitors, and I would just see when they do rent raises and how they did them. And I think that was the biggest thing to separate. I feel like to separate ourselves was learning like it's okay to do rent raise. Just knowing that your average stay at each location, like we're probably, I would say, probably like right at like 370 days. So you're going to have a guy who moves in a month and he moves out, and another guy moves in a month and moves out. Then you have one guy stays for 3 years. So like it's always the law of averages that if you understand that and you wrap your head around, if I can increase $20,000, for an example, like say at Truck Parking Club, as we go and we increase revenue, and I don't care if it was $100,000 across our whole portfolio in the year, but that $100,000 is really damn near almost a 1.7 million in a valuation to our portfolio. So that's where the biggest thing is, I think, is just understanding the math behind what you're doing. And for us, like when we, like at Storage Materials, part of the name of the materials was giving people the materials to be successful versus just building a building for people or doing it is really helping them get off the ground with the right software, the right access control, the right marketing. Like people get scared to do rent bumps and, like, well, what if they all move out? Like I was nervous of that. I was nervous of it all the time. And we've done tons of A/B testing that you'd be shocked they don't move out. It doesn't matter how much they really don't move out.
Yeah, no, and it's really interesting as we're kind of talking about this, like, specifically going back to what you said about like, hey, you have 1,000 units and they could all be 10 by 10s, 5 by 10s, but do you actually need 1,000 units? And I've personally managed sites like that in my past, where it's like you have 100 5 by 5s and none of them get rented out. But, as we go ahead and kind of chat about the Truck Parking Club and why you decided to use us. Funny story, if any of you want to go ahead, this is actually Travis's second podcast with Truck Parking Club. The first one was at a self-storage show early in the year last year when our CEO went and interviewed you and said, hey, when are you going to go ahead and get your properties online? And you looked incredulous, and about a month later, we got your sites online. And for anybody here that's listening, Travis has 13 properties with us. He's made about $30,000 in about an 8-month period. So it almost goes to that added value. And you're not the only storage provider that said that. Prime Storage has been very vocal about the added value that the ancillary revenue kind of brings. And I want to go ahead and kind of talk about just like that process to get onboarded. I know Maribel did a little bit of that, but what's kind of like your feedback on getting the properties online, starting to make $1? Like, how did that process look, and what was your kind of feedback there, especially in the early days, 8 months, 9 months ago with Truck Parking Club?
It was pretty easy. It was simply just emailing to yourself, filling out a little bit of paperwork, and we're up online and renting units. And so for us, we had extra space, and so it made sense to add. And back to the evaluation standpoint, on that scenario. I mean, you're you in a sense made $600,000 of evaluation across that during that time frame.
Oh,
And as well as anyone, you're going to have a lot of people that have the same routes, and your truck parking and people who stay in the same spots. It'll only increase over time and stuff. So if you did 30 today, you're going to do 50 next year, as
yeah.
more and more as it gets on there. So just for onboarding, and we've been very, very happy. And the amount of headaches and stuff, I mean, I really can't say we had a lot of headaches on.
Yeah, and obviously you like to look at new asset classes. I mean, you're very open, I think, as an individual and as a operator. Open minded about kind of new concepts. How do you feel about this asset class? I mean, in general, not just as an ancillary profit center, but even potentially developing in the future. That might not be what you're going to do, but how do you feel like this asset class is going to evolve, especially with the self storage operator kind of lens?
Well, I feel like if you sit there and you think about it, there's so much opportunity on people that have extra space and extra like they're not making anything with it. They're there, they have it, and a lot of them don't even know of it. So I see opportunity where you can buy an old like it could be a vacant parking lot. There's a guy in outside of Omaha. They just recently did this. It was a lot that's been sitting there. It's just asphalt. He put a fence around it, and he's crushing it. He probably has 100, 150 people staying all the time. And he might get some of his leads through pay per click and his own advertising and working his own deals. But you have very low taxes because it's unimproved ground.
Mhm.
And you have not a whole lot in insurance. You have a fence around there and a gate. And then maybe you end up having a call center or you don't. And if you had a couple of them, maybe you get one person on there. But I think it's really, really scalable. And some of them it is nice. Like I just ran a situation where people just need space,
Yeah.
and it can be. We had a couple loads of steel that we just needed to store at a place, and
Yeah.
I'd rather it be in a gate in a secured fence, but there's another opportunity avenue that you can just go and do it. And then in the meantime, truck parking has overnight, has weekly, monthly stays, has, some people with contracts of 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And so, but there's not a lot of maintenance onto it.
Mhm.
There's nothing really to do. And so you don't have roofs, you don't have, tenants necessarily, staying in units per se. You don't have a lot of that stuff. So
Going like fast forwarding like to today, right? I know you're really focused on storage materials, and I know you have a great partner, a great employee, Maribel, that takes care of the day to day operations, especially with Truck Parking Club. Um, just as an owner, right? Especially with a large portfolio, how many times do you hear about Truck Parking Club or any incidents from Maribel, like every week or every month? Have you heard any?
I feel like you're setting me up for this, but I have not.
Yeah, I
But I
wanted
really
to.
have not. So I don't ever hear of anything. We had one the other day that was a question about a opportunity on like 50 to 60 cars that were brand new cars from a car dealership that would need extra parking. And that was the only time is more on that is, and that's an opportunity. But hey, what do you think of this scenario? And going through there. So
Hmm. Okay. No, and that's fair. And what does a typical week kind of look like for you? I just want to go back to you a little bit. So, like, what does a typical week look like for you? I mean, but you operating two different businesses, you have this ancillary income stream. I mean, what does a week look like for you, man?
we have a lot going on. We have a good group around us, but a lot of meetings. If you talked to me a year ago, I was not a meeting person and almost like more of an anti-meeting person. But yesterday I had 6 meetings, just back to back to back to back, and a lot of it's new customers and stuff that a lot of people who develop. We meet with a lot of new people that have ground. Like that's one thing that we do different is we're very open with people. We'll do renderings, drawings, site plans, meet with you from ground level before you even get it under contract. And we really, I feel like, politely hold their hands all the way through and help them through. And the only thing that we ever ask for is ever the opportunity. And if we get the opportunity, that's all we ever wanted. And, it's our job to win it from there. So, I feel like we go above and beyond. And then the other thing is we really help a lot with after you open a facility and stuff. But then at the same time, our business with storage, I mean, you have your day-to-day headaches and maintenance and things like that and questions and stuff and, tenant issues. And then a lot of my time is spent right now on other developments and projects and planning and zoning and, pouring concrete, not pouring concrete. There's just a lot of calls. Sometimes we can take 150 calls a day and, a couple hundred emails. I left about an hour ago and had everything cleaned out, and I have 132 in my inbox from an hour and a half ago. So,
well, I think, and going back to your point about like really holding somebody's hand through the process. Obviously, we've been friends for years. I'm very passionate about just making sure that people are successful, even if they don't use a particular product or whatever that I'm working with. And, when I go through the pro forma process at Truck Parking Club, where somebody's developing a bare piece of land and they just want advice, or if it's like a portfolio like yours and it's like, hey, how much money in ancillary revenue am I going to make? I think it's really powerful to just say like, hey, these are the practices that have worked. They've worked personally for me. And one question I get asked, which I'd love to ask you because you've been through it a lot, is the planning or the zoning kind of conversations with the cities. I get asked that probably at least once or twice a day. I haven't had much experience in that. What's like the biggest piece of advice that you could give to a developer that's, going to a zoning meeting or anything like that? Like, just what comes to mind?
You want my unbiased or?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
No, the one thing I always tell myself, I used to get very frustrated with cities all the time. And it's definitely one of the biggest in struggles because they're not afraid to spend your money, and they're usually not. They're usually like 6-figure issues, and so anything when it comes to planning and zoning, building department, every time I tell myself that the only good thing is it's a barrier of entry that not everybody would be able to do it. After you do one, you can get burnt out, but you just got to tell yourself. I mean, you can't let yourself get that way. It's part of the nature of the beast, and you got to deal with it. So I think anything with planning and zoning, I try not to mess with zoning too much when it comes to it. So if things aren't zoned right, it really is an upward battle. And it's not saying you can't get it, but I mean, I have a property right now that I'm going on 3 years, and it's a big property, and of sitting there vacant and getting through zoning. And we made a little headway last week, but 3 years we've had to go through this. And I don't know what comes into like how does something take 3 years to get a yes or no on stuff? But it's crazy, but that's just how it is. So
shout out to that municipality.
I think that at the end of the day, that's always the biggest battle is getting through cities. It's not the development necessarily. It's not the project. It's more of all the entitlements and getting through all the red tape. And it takes a long time. I mean, if you started something today, depending on the market you're in, and you just go and you're like, oh, I want to build a storage, and you find a piece of ground, and say you reached out to us today, hey, I want to buy this. I mean, that's probably 120 to 150 day roadmap to buy it. Another 7 months to get plans, then another 8 to 10 months of construction. It's a 24-month roadmap for any project. And there's not really an expedited path. I wish there was, but that's just how it takes and stuff. So,
well, and just as we kind of close out here a little bit, I guess going back to the Truck Parking Club side, if anybody here that's listening is on the fence about utilizing, the Truck Parking Club service, what would you say to them, and why would you say it?
I would say that at the end of the day, if you're in, not just say just self-storage, but it doesn't matter what you do as a business operator and you own real estate. I think some people have a hard time of understanding that they're in the business of value creation. And if you can wrap your head around that, where you truly understand what this property is worth with X, what's it worth with Y, what's it worth with Z, then you just look at it and it just comes down to simple math. And so that's how I always evaluate things is, what's the return? What does it cost me? What's the time? What's the effort? Is it worth it? Is it not? And, like in this scenario, say you have a storage facility. Say I buy your property and we get it and it's a really good, and we make $15,000, $20,000 off of truck parking club, let's say, and you were never doing it. Well, we just made like $400,000 and all I did is just buy your property and call you guys and it was set up. You know what I'm saying? So why let that go away? Because the next person's going to. So if you ever have a loan refinance, if you ever have anything, it's only going to help your terms, your bank terms and everything, the more revenue. So if it's pretty effortless and you don't have to deal with it, there's other ancillary revenue that we've gotten into. And, I'm not going to say, but there's some stuff that's very busy. And I don't know if it's really worth it because sometimes it's like, I have to add a whole nother person really to kind of keep doing this all the time. Is it worth it? And it really makes you scratch your head. This, I don't have to deal with anything. So like if you look at Answer, there's other options out there. And, some of them require quite a bit of work and you make this, but by the time you analyze the whole outcome of it, does it hurt your facility more if that person spends 40%, 50% of their day doing this and you make that? Like that's where I struggle with. But like in this scenario is I don't have to deal with anything. So like the manager or the person can stay focused. You could just have a vacant lot and, be in the heart of Houston and it's just a vacant gravel lot outside of your HVAC warehouse. And you can just make money. At the end of the day, that's your vacation money for you and your family. Like you don't have anything to deal with and stuff. It's just sitting there. So,
I really appreciate it. And Travis, I really appreciate your time. And I guess lastly, how can people find you, especially people, I work with a lot of self-storage individuals. They're going to love your advice that you gave today. So I really appreciate that. What's the best way to get a hold of you? We'll wrap it up and get you out of here.
Honestly, our website at storagematerials.com or my email is just travis@storagematerials.com. Either way, but we wanted the name just super simple to remember. So that's why storage material is pretty simple to remember. And then at the end of the day, we just want to focus on trying to provide a lot more than just a building or building stuff for people. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Travis, and everyone listening. Appreciate you. See you on the road.
Yep.